Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to imagine your absolute favorite national team gearing up for the World Cup. You're probably picturing this grand symbol of global unity, right? Athletes from every corner of the earth coming together, crossing borders, and basically leaving politics at the door to just compete on a perfectly manicured pitch. Well, for the 2026 World Cup, that idyllic image has violently collided with a really unprecedented logistical reality. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating situation that actually has nothing to do with tactics or formations. It's all about the invisible lines drawn by global politics. We're going to take a close look at the extraordinary logistical siege currently facing the Iranian national team, a situation that's literally threatening their ability to compete on the world's biggest stage.
Okay, let's dive into this contrast between Iran and the rest of the field because it's pretty staggering. The 2026 tournament features 48 nations. Now, for 47 of those teams, the standard procedure is to just set up a permanent base camp in their host cities. They arrive, they settle in, they unpack, and they focus purely on football. But Iran, they are completely isolated in their operational reality. Instead of a permanent base camp in the host country, they're dealing with a grueling 24-hour visa limitation. They're flying in and out like unwanted guests, which entirely alters how a professional athletic team prepares for a global tournament.
Section 1. The 24-hour World Cup, a logistical anomaly.
So let's look at how this operates in practice, because the core of this dispute stems directly from unprecedented visa restrictions placed on the Iranian delegation by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Let's walk through their mandatory tournament schedule. Step 1. The players and staff are only permitted entry into the United States on what's called Match Day -1. That is literally the day before the game. Step 2. They play a physically brutal 90-minute World Cup match. And then, Step 3, they are required to depart the host country that exact same evening. No rest, no ice baths, just straight to the tarmac. For a professional athlete, this isn't just a tough schedule, you guys. Skipping standard recovery time is genuinely physically dangerous.
And behind the scenes, the administrative roadblocks are just massive. 15. That's the number of Federation members, administrative officials, and vital support staff who are completely denied visas to enter the host country. When a huge chunk of your support operation is sidelined like that, the already massive hurdles of managing a World Cup team multiply exponentially.
And the timeline for the actual players wasn't much better. 10 days. The players themselves only got their entry permits a mere 10 days before the entire tournament kicked off. Can you imagine trying to finalize your mental and physical preparation for the pinnacle event of your entire sporting career, and you don't even know if you'll legally be allowed into the country until just over a week before kickoff? Coach Amir Galanoui was incredibly vocal about this, stating the host country actively delayed their arrivals, which obviously left their prep in total disarray.
Section 2. Exiled to Tijuana, moving the base camp.
Because of these strict visa hurdles, compounded by the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, Iran's entire World Cup operation had to be completely relocated. The original plan? A dedicated training facility in Tucson, Arizona. But they had to completely abandon that. Instead, the forced reality became a facility across the border in Tijuana, Mexico. And to be clear, this wasn't some strategic choice to train at a higher altitude or get better weather. It was an absolute necessity just to keep the team together and functional.
Section 3. The New Zealand aftermath, where theory meets reality in Los Angeles.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we were talking about earlier. Following Iran's hard-fought 2-2 draw against New Zealand and LA, there was no celebration, and way more importantly, zero rest. Instead of heading back to a local hotel for standard post-match recovery, hydration, rest, getting looked at by medical staff, they were ordered to leave the U.S. immediately. Physiotherapy sessions were just entirely skipped. Sweaty, exhausted players were rushed directly from the stadium straight to the airport to catch a flight back to their base in Tijuana. Coach Galanoui expressed absolute outrage to reporters that very night. And honestly, can you blame him?
To understand just how razor-thin these margins actually are, get a load of this. Substitute Mahdi Tarabi's visa was so strictly limited, it expired the absolute second he stepped foot out of the United States. Instantly. This triggered a desperate, last-minute renegotiation just to ensure he could legally return for the team's upcoming super high-stakes clash with Belgium. It is a relentless ticking clock pressure that goes way beyond the 90 minutes they play on the grass.
And the emotional toll this is taking on the players is becoming impossible to ignore. When asked to summarize the logistical nightmare of the recent weeks, team captain Mahdi Taremi offered a very blunt one-word assessment: disaster. The players feel like they're fighting a war on two fronts, battling their opponents on the pitch, and battling an administrative system seemingly designed to keep them out. Section 4. The formal FIFA grievance, pushing back against the rules. Because today, June 19, 2026, the Football Federation of the Islamic Republic of Iran officially broke its silence. To see how this escalated, we need to look at what was actually asked for. The Iranian Federation had formally requested what seems like a pretty standard accommodation: permission to enter the host cities 2 days prior to matches for technical prep and to leave 1 day after for crucial physical recovery. But those requests flatly denied by the authorities for both the New Zealand and the Belgium matches, forcing them right back into that incredibly strict 24-hour window. So, how did the Federation respond? Well, they lodged a formal, scathing complaint directly with FIFA. This document challenges the strict travel restrictions head-on, claiming these measures are acting as active sabotage to their preparation. They argue it's entirely inconsistent with providing equal conditions for all participating teams. They are officially demanding that FIFA step in and uphold its foundational principles of neutrality and fairness. So this is no longer just some administrative spat. This is a formal accusation that the very spirit of the tournament is being compromised. Coach Galinoui has been fiercely protective of his squad through all of this. He's publicly called Iran the most oppressed team at the 2026 World Cup. His frustration is just palpable when he says, "Others are doing the planning for us." It's a really stark reminder that, from the team's perspective, their destiny in this tournament isn't being shaped by their own training and tactics, but by outside political forces. Section 5. Politics over the pitch, the FIFA standoff. So, how has the highest level of global football responded? Well, FIFA's leadership has certainly acknowledged the gravity of the crisis. After that chaotic draw against New Zealand, FIFA President Gianni Infantino actually made a very rare personal visit to the Iranian dressing room. He praised the team's perseverance, telling them, "I understand, but you are stronger than everything. You send a strong message to the entire world." But really, this quote perfectly captures the central tension of the entire tournament. While the rhetoric from FIFA is highly supportive, the punishing logistical reality these players wake up to every single day, it remains completely unchanged. And that leaves us with a massive, pressing question. The Iranian national team currently exists as a squad in exile, treated fundamentally differently than the other 47 nations competing. They've officially played their card by filing this grievance. Now, all eyes are on Switzerland. Will the governing body of world football actually take decisive action to level the playing field? Or will national border policies just be allowed to shadow the glory of the cup? It's a question that challenges the absolute foundation of international sports. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep a close watch on how this unprecedented standoff unfolds.